You know, one thing I don't think a lot of people have really given much thought to, and it's a disturbing part of what's about to come, it's the fact that I really don't think anyone's prepared. You can grow as much as you want to. It's not about the physical preparation. It is the mental preparation for the shit we are about to see. Because over the next few years, especially once the Medicaid cuts start fully coming in, when the SNAP cuts start fully coming in, when all of these government programs that have been helping low-income people stop coming in, and these people cannot even afford basic necessities, you're going to see millions of people suffering. And I know it's already bad in America. It's like, oh, well, they're already suffering. It's going to get worse. Because it can get worse. I don't think most people understand the fact that right now is the best it's going to be. It's only going to get worse from here for a time. The earliest any of this has a chance of even remotely improving in the slightest bit, and it probably won't even then, is after midterms. So for the next year and 4 months roughly, around that time, year, 3 months, whatever, as the tariffs start to kick in, as the Medicaid cuts come through, as hospitals close down, as schools start to shutter because the Department of Education defunding, as more and more time passes, things are only going to get worse from here. It's the same analogy with like climate change. This is the coolest summer we're going to have for the rest of our lives. And I don't think people are mentally ready for the amount of suffering they're going to see, because it's one thing when you are seeing suffering online. It's another thing when it's right next door to you. It's one thing when you are seeing suffering online. It's another thing when it's right next door to you. It's one thing when you are seeing suffering online. It's another thing when it's right next door to you. It's another thing when your kids go to school and they come back home saying that, oh, a third of the kids in my class, the only meal they get a day is through school. And it's going to be even more than that. There was already a large number of children whose only stable meals came from school lunches, but as SNAP gets cut, as Medicaid gets cut, and as insurance costs go up, you're going to see a large amount of sick people. You're going to see a large amount of GoFundMes. You're going to see a scale of human suffering that this country has not seen since before. And even then, was only bad because this same dumbass was in charge. I really don't think people are ready for what's coming next.
Hey, and ultimately what's coming next is Jacob's trouble. You see, that's the whole thing he missed in that thing, is that these people see the painting on the wall, but they don't know the artist, right? They don't understand that this is Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai's will, and that this is all Bible prophecy. So let's go to Daniel chapter 12 and verse 1. It says, "And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book." Okay, and that's talking about in these last days, right? There's going to be a time so bad, worse than anything humanity has ever seen. So when he goes into how, everything we see, it's only going to get worse and worse, he's 100% on point. Another place we can read that is in 2nd Ezra chapter 16, and I'll start at verse 2nd Ezra chapter 16 and verse 37. It says, "Behold, the plagues draw nigh and are not slack, as when a woman with child in the 9th month bringeth forth her son, with 2 or 3 hours of her birth great pains compass her womb, which pains when the child cometh forth, they slack not a moment. Even so shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth, and the world shall mourn, and sorrow shall come upon it on every side." Okay, and that's symbolic, as it said, right, going into these plagues that are going to come upon the earth. But one thing there is that it related the plagues as to a pregnant woman, going into how as the baby comes closer and closer to being delivered, the contractions get worse and worse, right? And that's what that guy was talking about, how, hey, this is only going to get worse. And that's 100% on point. Now, in the beginning of that video, he was talking about how, these people are gonna start complaining over, what we have right now. People think it's bad, but hey, what we got right now is still chilling. Right? You can still go find yourself a job, make money, pay for your rent, have food, water. You could still survive. And these people think that, hey, everything is collapsing right now, but hey, just wait when everything actually collapses. They're gonna be wishing that they were in 2025. Let's read part of that here in Isaiah chapter 32. And I'll start at verse 9. It says, "Rise up, ye women that are at ease. Hear my voice, ye careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech." Right, and that's the thing. That's the main thing is that, hey, a lot of you women out there, especially the American women, are completely lost in the sauce, careless, because you have been given privilege by the serpent. And you can see how the serpent has influenced the whole world. We got OF girls, we got momos running around, and everybody's in the mentality of, hey, nothing matters, I'm gonna just do whatever is good for me. Self-glorification and just wickedness. So, hey, the Lord said, "Many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless woman, for the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come. Tremble, ye women that are at ease, be troubled, ye careless ones, strip you and make you bare, and gird sackcloth upon your loins. And they shall lament for the teats, for the pleasant fields, and for the fruitful vine." And that's the point, is that when everything collapses, they're going to be lamenting for the teats, right? Going into the previous times, right? The times where things were good. They're going to be reminiscing and wishing that they could be back in 2025, with how the world is right now. Because, shit ain't too bad right now. Sure, it is bad. I'm not saying it's not bad, but it's not to a point where it's unbearable. But soon, we will be entering, that state. It's inevitable that this will all crash. And we can read that in Zephaniah chapter 1. And I'll start at verse 10. It says, "And it shall come to pass in that day, saith Yahweh, that there shall be the noise of a cry from the fish gate, and a howling from the second, and a great crashing from the hills." Okay, and that's symbolic for this economy crashing. Right, this is a prophecy about Babylon falling. Okay, a great crashing from the hills. It says, "How ye inhabitants of Maktesh, for all the merchant people are cut down, all they that bear silver are cut off." Right, Maktesh was a ancient, if I remember correctly, it was an ancient port city, right, and it was pretty much a trade center. And all this is symbolic for America, because America is the trade center of the world, right? So it's saying that, hey, all that merchant, all that buying and selling, all that is going to come to a stop. Okay, and there's going to be a time where, the grinders are going to cease. Ecclesiastes chapter 12, and I'll start at verse 4. It says, "And the door shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grounding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low." Right, we are living in those times. Right, soon, the sound of the grinding, which goes into work, is going to completely disappear. Right, and people are going to be waking up to, hey, the birds, right, nature. But the thing is that it's not going to be a beautiful nature. Okay, we're going to be in complete chaos, anarchy. So, that's the flip. Yeah, you're not going to be working, but hey, you're going to be a neck deep in survival mode. It says, "And all the daughters of music shall be brought low." Right? You can obviously see that. The music nowadays is complete fucking garbage. And the only thing that they talk about is just wickedness. Ultimately, at the end of the day, that's all it is. It's just witchcraft. Because they're throwing spells upon you by those words. Make you want to do those type of actions if you don't got the Holy Spirit. That's why you see so many crash outs out here in the hood. Hey, they listen to that nigga music and they turn into niggas, So, hey, we really in those times. And you can see how these prophecies are speeding up, real quick. So, A quick video straight to the point, without any of all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem, Rukakwadash, and double honor to the elder bishops and apostles of great most on the time of the truth. Shalom to elect, Shalom.